Welcome, everybody, to Generation Dan, the only show where maybe we should probably start burping at the beginning.
I mean, it helps me.
Completely kidding, but I'm Atlas Novak. I'm your millennial. Who else is here with me?
I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel, and I feel like Father Time. I've realized I've become invisible lately, Atlas, at my age. I can just stand there and people will pretend I don't exist. It's very interesting.
See, when you said I became invisible, the first thought in my head was like, D&D? I cast invisibility? Which made that worse.
Well, a little bit, but yeah.
No, what do you mean by that?
I mean, the more and more I think about it, it's like because obviously I've cut myself in half, which is miraculous in and of itself, but at the same time I'm still not in good shape or anything, so I'm trying to make myself better, but at the same time I'm like, oh, I'm not relevant to anything. I'm like, I just exist, and it's weird. I don't know.
What made you this revelation for yourself?
I was in the shower about 20 minutes ago, and I was like, oh,
you know nobody comes in the shower with you. You're supposed to be alone in there, right?
I mean, listen. I'm telling everyone about my new bidet, so that's all right. Technically, everyone's in there with me. It's great. It's fun.
Still the funniest thing to me, like, the videos are just him on the can watching, or like he's just on the can and you hear the rush of the bidet.
Yeah.
And like for about a week there, I was like, what is Toto? Is it a water feature? Because you can hear the water, but you like obviously you're not going to show anyone below the chest area.
Of course not.
So you're just like, okay. And then when you told me it was a bidet, I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
And this is the thing is like it's hilarious to me because like I do a bit where I say to everybody, I'm like, listen, if you at any time during my set feel like I'm looking down on you, I want you to know that you're 100% correct. Okay, I can list the ways, but like, listen, let's just start at the beginning. I saved myself for marriage. Boom, I'm better than you. Number two, I'm Greek, also better than you. And now like I've been like, I'm also 6'2". I'm higher than you. I'm gonna look down on you. That's just how it goes.
This is the worst reason you suck speech I've ever heard.
The newest one is I'm like, I can leave my house knowing my butthole is probably the cleanest butthole of anyone I'll interact with for the day. And I'm like, it's a great feeling that you're like, you just feel you're like, man, I'm like, I got washed and dried first thing in the morning. Feels great. It feels great. I'm just, hey.
Now that needs to be a commercial for bidets where you're just like, you walk out the door, there's like the happy music playing, where it's like, I have the cleanest butthole of anyone here.
I mean, it feels good. It feels good. It's a weird thing to brag about, and also, and I said this on stage. I'm like, also, you know what? Using the bidet regularly doesn't make me feel as gay as I thought it would. I'll just let you know. Just I'm like, it wasn't as intrusive. I was like, oh, it's kind of nice. Was that good?
Fine. Victoria, good morning.
I like this. How waiting for the uplifted comic. I imagine this is what the MC says if Atlas is late for a mic.
That's only happened once.
Hi, Victoria.
Where like I was on a show and normally I try and like be good and watch the show, right? Until I'm like on deck, then I'll go back, like go to the green room and be like, okay,
hey, Sujal,
you're ready, blah blah blah. Yeah. So this one particular show, it looked like if a disco ball took LSD, like there were just lights everywhere doing this and like pulsating and stuff, and it was
that's not helpful.
I didn't get a seizure, but it was kind of making me like dizzy. I was like,
yeah,
I'm going outside. This is too much for me.
Hold on one second. I just realized I forgot to bring my coffee. Hold on.
Okay. Fine. I guess I'm here by myself. Comment section. How are you today? Is that a lizard on your wall? On Dino's or on mine? Because behind me is just like a bunch of stuff in these shelves.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Somebody asked if there's a lizard on our wall.
Is there a lizard on my wall? No.
Yeah, no. I couldn't tell if he meant yours or mine.
I mean,
that's a ceiling fan above me.
Says good. I mean,
Anyway,
that's not an endorsement I've never heard of. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
Anyway, so like it was making me dizzy, and I went outside because yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm out there, and then they're like, "Hey, you missed your spot. Where were you?" I'm like, "I was standing literally outside the door. Someone could have like, hey, you're on deck or something."
Anything. Yeah.
Um, and I even like said to the host on my way out, like, "Hey, this is a little too much. I'm going outside."
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess it's understandable. You're so hung up on just running the show that like you don't keep track of where the individual comics are.
Yeah. It's just a
But
bad host.
she's not a bad host. Like she just stuck me on the end and it worked out fine. But
Yeah.
I'm just annoyed that like the venue kept those lights doing that during a comic set, which is like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
It's more distracting than the comic itself.
Hey, Madura.
From
Saddam
Pakistan.
Hussein from Pakistan. I mean, all right. What's your favorite Marvel character? Wolverine.
Who's your favorite Marvel character? They're people. No.
They're people. Are they?
Human Torch. I'm a big Fantastic Four guy. My dad gave me his comics from when he was a kid. When I was
You
little.
seem like a Fantastic Four guy.
Human Torch.
Atlas is the Guy Fieri of LA comedies.
Nah, Guy Fieri's cool.
Yeah. It's always Wolverine. He's Canadian, and
Sure.
I feel like I number one, feel like I have steel in my bones because I've never broken a bone. Number two is I would love for knives to come out of my hands. Like I would, oh man.
I've never broken a bone either. I've sprained stuff, and I pulled a lot of muscles. Like that's where the thing was in the group chat with Joey. The my lower back.
Yeah. I've been having issues with my lower back, so I've been planking every day for like a minute plus, and it sucks. It's horrible, but it is making my back feel better. So, I broke my big toe
once kicking my brother.
So the only thing I can think of that I may have fractured my big toe kicking the a step in the pool because somebody pushed me. But
Little League, I broke my arm. Nothing since then. I'm pretty sure I did something to this elbow because of rollerblading one time where I fell just like full force on it. I never got it checked out, but I can't lean on it for longer than like 30 seconds without it.
I mean, hey, what's up, Elbrus?
I messed something up.
Fuck boy, you suck. Yeah, you suck too. Greetings to India. Hey, Madura.
Yeah, Atlas is as cool as a heated blanket. You know it, baby.
Cool as a heated blanket. I'm like, yeah, that's not cool. I mean, yeah.
That's the joke, yeah. Anyway, Atlas on rollerblades. I need footage. I can go track down that picture where it's me on rollerblades in a grass skirt and I'm wearing a Dodgers t-shirt because that's how I would promote my student org in college. Is I would like rollerblade around with the flyers and pass them out to people. And nothing attracts attention like a grass skirt over a pair of jeans. So
that is true. That is just science.
I'll send it to you before the next episode. We'll like show it.
That's an allegory, bro. Yeah,
that's an allegory. The thing we're talking about today is like values and views of generations that like fall away as time marches on.
Yeah.
So, for example, I saw a study recently that said that Gen Z and Gen Alpha aren't adults yet, so I'm not going to count them in this. Gen Z are having less sex, drinking less, partying less in general than millennials or Gen Xers.
Right.
And I think that on paper that seems good. Like, yay, poison your body less or whatever, but like people need to fuck to like continue the human race or whatever. And I think that, like it or not, that is a form of intimacy, and losing that in your life by like not being as horny. Like,
okay,
I teach teenagers, they're just not as horny as they used to be. Why am I saying this?
I mean, you're digging your own grave here.
I'm digging my own grave. I don't care. But like, just like a thing where the raw visceral attraction you can have to someone doesn't seem to be as much of a thing anymore. And people are, seem to be, again, this is all anecdotal. So take with a grain of salt, but like people seem to be less into the concept of like romance and like physical intimacy. I would love to like pull like love languages for different age groups and see how that changes. Like, you know what I'm talking about, the love
I
languages?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're ridiculous. Okay, hold on.
I think
LOL,
it's an interesting idea.
you don't need to tell that to Bonnie Blue. Number one, that's
Who's
fair.
Bonnie Blue?
Oh, Bonnie Blue is the woman that had sex with 1,000 men in a day or something like that.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
So,
Walks in
watch
on
this.
Atlas's manifesto.
No
I know this
guess.
manifesto.
Boom. Walks in on Atlas Manifesto. I mean, basically, Atlas would pass out trying to dig his own grave. No way he does all that physical labor.
I used to like one of my jobs after high school during that gap year was I did
Yeah.
construction for a clearly shady
Yeah.
single guy who like he was building a guest house and he had me like help lay down the foundation and everything and like did physical labor then. But the weird part was first I got paid under the table, and B, he would make me watch an episode of Perry Mason with him before I left every day.
I feel like that's a great way to unwind, though.
I guess, but that was part of the job. That's the weird part. It's different if it's like, hey, on your way out, you want to know, like, before you leave,
hey,
watch this episode of Perry Mason with me. Scoutmaster Kevin.
Yeah.
Cole, I was 19, so not. It's just weird, not awful.
Okay, well, the problem with social media, if we are being honest, people have so many more options now. Back in the day, we were only limited to people at your local bar. That's also true.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. Like, right now they're doing like the phone policy with LAUSD,
Yeah.
where if you see the phone, it gets put in the office. They have to pick it up. Second time, the parent has to sign it out, and the third time, it's in the office for a week before the parent can sign it out. Which means that kids are on their phones a lot less in school. And at first, it was really awful because they're like, "What do I do? How do I exist?"
Yeah.
And now it's been about a month and a half.
Yeah.
And a lot of the kids, they're talking to each other more. Fights are happening less, except for that one from,
where you pitted two girls against each other and we're like, I want to see blood. No, it's fine.
No.
It's okay.
Pay me, I'll come over and watch Perry Mason.
100%. $15 an episode, I got to be able to smoke. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I think that applies to herbivore men in parts of Asia. Also true. My kids' high school has a phone policy, but they are on their phones all day, so I think it's enforced. That's
so like
it's not good.
The
it's not good for you.
Policy for a long time was like no phones in school, but it became this game of whack-a-mole of like, okay, take your phone, give it back to you at the end of class, you use it again, and then now the deterrent is strong enough where they're just like, I'm just not going to risk it. Because even that first day of like, okay, I can pick it up when school ends. The traffic jam at the end of the day is such a pain in the ass because you have to go to the office and it's like half the school there at once. It sucks.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not a fan of schools and their phone rules. Property bitch. Yeah. But we don't want phones out during instruction. We're supposed to get later this month these magnet bags, like like when you go to a concert, you put them in there, and so it's your property. You just can't use it during the school
class
day.
Yeah.
And then you unlock it when you leave, and then you can use it. It's also a Faraday cage, which means that no notifications are there. Because like when I've taken kids' phones before, and like in between taking them and turning them off, because I always turn them off, the notifications are going off like every 10 seconds, and it's loud. It is a big buzz that gets your attention. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. I'm hoping that will lead to more social interaction. That's at least at school. But once you get out of school, you still have to remedy the problem of like going to places to meet people and do stuff. And I'll tell my seniors that before they graduate, but I think it's important to like try shit.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Says I think the magnet bag is an awesome idea for kids. I do.
Me too.
Who cares? Y'all are teaching shit anyway. I've learned more from Google and podcasts than I ever did for school. See,
did you pay attention in school? Be honest with yourself.
I mean, listen, okay, if their parents want to talk to them, they can call the school.
Exactly. Yeah,
I
because
mean,
that was the first talking point the kids. What if my mom needs to reach me? Call the fucking school.
yeah, yeah. Like realistically, so see, there's two sides of it, right? Is that do I feel that uh you should take someone's property like that? Absolutely not. Do I feel like you should have a phone in school? Also, absolutely not. So it's like that's that you're not there. Like if you have one, oh, it's in my bag in case of emergencies. I have it with me. No problem. But if you're every 10 seconds you're scrolling on something, no, you're there to learn. It's
Yeah, and
inappropriate,
like
right?
before the phone gets taken in the first place, we trust them to keep it in their bag. The kids who
Yeah,
kept it in their bag all day never have that problem of having to go to the office and get their phone.
yeah. If it's an emergency, it's an emergency. But like, okay, are they allowed to check their phones when they're out of class?
No, that's the kicker. Now,
Oh, how does that work?
the well, there, of all the like admin wandering the halls and like during lunch and stuff, it's just if
Right.
a teacher sees it, that happens. So you like run that risk of
Yeah.
if you pull your phone out in the hallway. Um, I don't know how stringent it is because I'm pretty like I don't really venture out of my room much outside of the bathroom in the office.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't really get to see the full effects of this during the like passing periods and whatnot. The last time I left my room, it was to like get petty revenge on a freshman who left his trash behind. So like
Fair.
he's a kid who's kind of needs to get punched in the face a little bit. Like, hey, give me this.
Yeah.
Hey, give me that. Right? Like he's still got that middle schooler in him. So
Hmm.
he keeps leaving his trash behind, and after like 3 days, I'm like, can you please either throw your trash out or take it with you when you leave? The third time, I was so annoyed with it. The next like class that was coming in, I was like, stay here. I locked my door, took a post-it and wrote, throw your goddamn trash out, stuck it to the trash, ran it upstairs to where his next class was, shoved it in his hands, and left again.
That's hilarious.
I never got to see the like result of it because I just turned and left before he could say anything.
Yeah.
Um, let's see.
Bro, that's so aggressive. But yeah. Hey, you know what?
You can't even
I
check your phone when you're not in class power trippy. It is a little bit, but I think it's more to like break the brain chemical addiction cycle and less about like no information, outside information whatsoever. They have Chromebooks. They can like recently one of the teachers was like, yeah, so because they can't text during class, they all have a Google Doc and then they're just like talking shit in the Google Doc. And I was
okay.
like, yeah, that's okay.
That's how you cheat. There you go.
Yeah,
Go for it.
exactly. Like that's the like they're adapting, which is good.
Yeah, it is.
Breaking students, got it.
Yeah, I love this. Nazis are
Nazis are
bad. The
bad.
mitochondria, the powers of the cell, a squared plus
A
b
squared
squared
plus
equals
B
c
squared
squared.
equals C squared. Woo.
I
I mean,
mean,
like
basically that's high school. That's fine. Yeah,
it's not just like the hard facts, but like learning how to learn. Oh my god, I can't do this with him over and over.
you can't even check your foot. Yeah, the power tripping. Yeah, it is.
Like I said, it's a little power trippy, but it's less about the information and more about the like brain chemical thing.
I would check my page all the time. Yeah, and you know what? When have you ever gotten a message? Calm down, Joey.
Burn.
Breaking students. Oh, but okay, hold on. But let's be honest though, is the way that classrooms are situated is meant to break people's creative learning styles, right? It's to organize people and to get them structured, right? Look, the only reason like I learned you realize things in a weird way is that like, oh, the reason why kids had recess and lunch was because the teachers need their government mandated breaks. That's it.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Yeah, it has nothing to do with anything else. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Our school doesn't have a nutrition or recess, like,
okay,
which kind of sucks. I feel bad for them because they have first period homeroom, which isn't really like you're in a room and you're supposed to be doing something. Second period lunch, third, fourth. Like these are blocked periods. They're 85 minutes long. Like throw nutrition in there. I think they deserve it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like after the first one, then second, or like however it is you want to do it.
Well, like, or at least like have a 5-minute break between classes or something. You know?
Well, they do. That's the passing period. But I mean like a break, not a I got to get to my next class. Like that's not a
Oh
break.
yeah,
That's
like 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
yeah,
something. Yeah.
that's a good one. Um
Let's see. Hold on.
yeah,
I
I think
think
that
that.
policy would go straight out the door if no yeah, pretty much. When parents want their kids to have a phone in hand. Yeah. Now, in the
And
case
then
with the magnet bags, it's still on them, and like all the teachers would have a little unlocky magnety thing, and then you just pop it
yeah,
open, and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
because
also
like
too, like if you have your phone in your bag, yeah, it's in case of emergencies. If something happens, pull your phone out and use
yeah,
it. Yeah, no one's
yeah,
getting it. No one's getting in trouble because something was going on and you pulled out your phone. The problem is what do you classify as an emergency? Right? Is like,
mhm,
hey, was something happening in class that made you uncomfortable, so you took out your phone to record it? You're like, I mean, technically that is also an emergency, right? Like it's weird,
mhm.
but you know,
Or like
I like my thing is this: is how come I can't use my phone to record the thing? Like it's high school, so it's not really the same. But like if it's a lecture, like
you
makes
can
sense,
audio
right?
record with your Chromebook. Um,
Oh, okay, then that
yeah.
works.
So I'm surprised like none of the kids seem to have done that.
Yeah.
But also it's not as lectury as it used to be when we were kids,
Okay.
which sucks because I like lecturing.
Yeah. No, I can't hate. I do work on teams a lot. I mean, not more funny comment, but it makes work fun. I mean, that's fine. Not sure why Trump is all gung ho on return to office. I talk more in the office than I do with us. That's
I
also
think that's
true.
more of a like because you're there and we can exert direct control over you, and you don't get to have the endorphins of like being at home in your pajamas with your
Who?
dog or whatever.
How dare you do laundry while you're at work? This bullshit.
Yeah,
You're like, yeah, that's that. Like
I know.
the whole idea of work from home being frowned upon is ridiculous to me, right? But at
Yeah,
the same time, you're like, oh, I understand, but like, I know personally people who are like, oh, I'd rather take a pay cut than have to work in the office again.
yeah, but
Yeah,
also that mostly evens out because you're not putting wear and tear, gas,
right.
car. Like, yeah, if time is money, also you factor that in and blah blah
Yeah, yeah.
blah.
But it's like, listen, like even seeing things where you're like, yeah, like there are times when sometimes Victoria will work late into the night. Why? Because she's on a roll. She's got a thing that she's trying to finish. It's like, okay, that's fine, but that's her job is available like that. She doesn't have to be in the office every day. Why? Because she works at weird times, right? Because that's
Yeah.
why they give her a laptop. You can do whatever you want.
That's probably a good transition to another thing that like people seem to have left behind, which is like loyalty to their workplace.
Yeah,
And I think it's for the better. The like the gold watch way of thinking. Like I
yeah,
worked here for 50 years, gold watch, retirement wait. Like
yeah,
companies aren't doing that anymore. So the only way to get a pay raise is to go somewhere else.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and that's that whole thing. Like, I don't know who betrayed who first, but like there's no honor anymore amongst like where it's like hey man, I got the same year I got year for a watch for 15 years of service is the same year I got fired. Happens.
really?
You do. Yeah.
Okay, so like what year was this that this happened?
2017.
2017. Okay, so like this is after Trump comes into office. This is after Citizens United, right? The corporations are people one.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is after. Oh wait, no, you're in Canada. Why am I saying this?
No, that's relevant. That's no,
Okay,
but
or like 2008, right? Where I think that really shattered the uh,
a lot.
that
Yeah.
feeling.
But it's that whole idea where it's like now you have freedom and I'm like I would love to work from home remotely on doing stuff, but it's like okay, that's a whole other experience, but yeah, whatever.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to better myself now and learn and grow and do all that shit that I didn't do while I was young. But I've been
Yeah,
teleworking since 2015. I mean, but that's the thing is, if you can, why wouldn't you? Right?
there's still like a holdover from uh, like job loyalty, which is like defining who you are as a person by your work.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh
The
yeah.
first question that you get after "What's your name?" is what do you do when you
Yeah.
are introducing yourself to someone?
Hmm.
And for a lot of people my age and younger, uh, it doesn't matter because it's like you're job hopping every couple of years and like
Yeah.
fields even.
Yeah.
Depending who you are. So that question almost feels empty, I think.
And in all honesty, I think it should
feel empty.
Yeah, because it's a bullshit thing.
It is.
The idea that people identify so much towards what they do as part of their personality is absolutely ridiculous to me. Like, that's, to me, it's a job. My career is being me, you know?
Yeah.
That's it, right? It's a weird perspective, but you're like, yeah, no, I'm doing my own thing. I'm not doing that kind of stuff anymore. But
there are people who like find a sense of purpose through their work, which is fine. But I think for the vast majority of people, that's not the case anymore.
Well, yeah. What value do you see? Like, that's the thing, is there are so many ridiculous job titles right now where, and it's like, how do you get any sort of satisfaction from that job? Like, this is something that's been happening for quite some time, is that idea where it's like having to have some sort of effect on the outside world is a integral part of gaining value from a job, right? Seeing that something is affected is a big deal in how you're rewarded and how comfortable you are in doing something, right? So when there's nothing to show for your work, it really it is so much less satisfying than other jobs. Like, that's why it's like jobs in construction. You're like, yeah, man, I built that shit. You know, it's a very rewarding thing.
Yeah, I build things. I teach people. You know,
yeah, I change people's lives. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
everyone is replaceable. So why would you be loyal to any company who would replace you immediately if anything happens? I mean, that's something that I've tried to tell people as well, is that, like, listen, no one's getting out of this alive. And the idea that you have to slave away for 50, 60, for 50 years, just so you can enjoy a few years of retirement is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more to life. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't work. What I'm saying is, hey, if you work like a dog day in, day out, like, you're not being true to yourself. You're not taking the time for yourself. And that is something that you will regret. Right. So,
yeah.
And ultimately it's a job. It's you are replaceable. Listen, CEOs are replaceable. Everyone's replaceable. That's just, and that's why and I always think about that whole idea, is that if something happened to you tomorrow, how long do you think before they'd post your job? You're like, yeah,
12
same
hours,
day,
probably
same day. Who cares?
Depending on when in the day it happens, right?
Right.
So, like, for the people on the other end of this equation of like, okay, so I personally have job satisfaction, if that.
Yeah.
How do I, like, not make it a huge bummer for other people? Don't ask them what they do. Ask them what they like to do.
Yeah.
And I've started doing this in the past, like, couple of years or so, and most of the time the answer I get is, well, like, it takes people a second to realize, like, because it's the normal rhythm of conversations. What's your name? What do you do? Right? Where are you from? And that's like, that disrupts the normal rhythm of the conversation in a good way, I think.
Absolutely. It's a weird thing, because you know what? People just assume, they don't understand what happened. You're like, wait, what's going on here? You know, because nobody assumes that you actually care about a conversation you're having. You're like, oh, what do you do for fun? And you're like, I do things, I do stuff. It's the same thing when Cole is like, what kind of music do you like? And I'm like, oh, I like all sorts of music. He's like, yeah, what's your favorite band? And I'm like, I don't really have a favorite band, kind of thing. He's like, you're not a real person. You don't listen to music. I'm like, I listen to music constantly, and I love music. And it's like, I like the idea. Like, I saw somebody. I remember when one of the guys from the Bee Gees died, and this lady was getting emotional, and it's where I got my coffee and donut every day. And she was like, him dying really affected me. And I'm like, why? It's like, because he had a special place in my heart. And I'm like, why? I don't understand. Like,
I mean, Cole's right, but also like, that band had a significance to her. Like, when Neil Peart died, the drummer of Rush, I was visibly downtrodden for like a month after. I
Just
still
weird.
get sad about it sometimes. Like they're
It-
never gonna make new music again. And not in a like, oh, if they make it again, it'll suck because it'll be a new guy. The problem was like he was the drummer who was really good at his job, but
Yeah.
also he wrote the lyrics to their songs.
Oh, well,
So
yeah.
yeah, they're never gonna make music again in that capacity.
You
You
don't
don't
understand
understand
because
his
you're.
throat, Clyde.
I mean, that's very possible.
No, I mean,
Uh,
like, I was talking to my friend yesterday, actually, and that came up. I was like, "What kind of music do you like? Do you like?" And he's like, "Oh, I like everything." And I'm like, "No, I mean, what do you like? Favorite bands, favorite genres?" He's like, "No, really." And he pulls out his Spotify and shows it to me. French, German, Japanese, Portuguese, uh,
that's weird.
like
That guy's a
songs
that
from
guy. That's a sociopath. That
every
guy's
language. Like he just likes music. He said, "I like music mostly from the '80s,
yeah.
but the language doesn't really matter to me. I just care about like the vibe." And I'm like, "Okay,
That
we're
is a
getting somewhere."
sociopath. That is 100% a sociopath. There's
Sorry,
no
Vince.
question. Yeah. That guy has bodies in his basement. There's no question. Yeah.
I've never been inside his apartment. It's a very,
Don't
real
don't
possibility.
go in. Don't let the door close. You won't be able to open it. Yeah. You'll have a special key and stuff.
Ugh.
It's how they get you. Come on in. You're like, no, I'm good at the door. Thanks. Yeah. Super
I
scary.
remember
I
all
don't know.
those. I remember all those articles about like millennials are killing this, millennials are killing that. And I'm wondering if like does that were you guys getting that when you were younger, like in the early 2000s, like Gen X is killing this thing, or
I don't think so.
no?
I think it was more so that like I think it was the reverse where it's like, oh, now there's a new thing I do. What the fuck is email? What is why can't you just call me? You know?
I love that. That's great.
I think it was the reverse, whereas you guys are watching the downfall of things, whereas we were seeing the creation of more, and we're like, oh, there's another thing to
Yeah.
learn. Oh, great, there's a new acronym. Perfect. I love it.
Because you went from vinyl to tapes to CDs in like 10
Yeah.
years, right?
Oh, it's better sound. Okay, but I thought we already had better sound. No, this is even better. Okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll get that. Oh, this is
Yeah.
also even more compact. Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, okay. Because I already have I know a guy, one of my best friends growing up, he had all VHS tapes, and then he kept the VHS, but then replaced them all with DVDs.
Okay.
And then went to he had Blu-ray and HD, and then he also has like every console since like the Nintendo, like the NES.
Okay.
Like every console, weird consoles, like all sorts of stuff. And like that was his thing. He always had a nice TV and nice sounds because he likes playing video games at home. That's his thing. Right. So but yeah, like I remember he bought one of the first DVD players from Sony, and it was like $700.
Wow.
And it was like, this is the future. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, it's just not my thing. Like, I don't do that. I don't know. It's weird, but
It's a good one though. Physical media is becoming less of a thing, which is a bad thing.
But that's the whole thing is like where they're like, oh, if you look at old books, like things are different as well, and like they tell you a different story, and you start to see how the internet is you could just go in and change stuff, and then you're like, oh, well, whereas if I had a physical copy of something, that's mine, right? Even now,
yeah,
where you can buy a movie on a streaming service, and you're like, well, you bought it, you're like, great. They're like, oh, but our contract with that company has ended, so technically it disappears.
sorry.
And you're like, that's
and you don't
not,
get your money back either.
and you don't get your money back. You're like, so that's not
Yeah.
that's not how that works, right? It's a little ridiculous, but what can you do?
I need to start doing that. Like, there have been movies that I've bought, like mostly for my film study class.
Yeah.
Because what'll happen is I'll find it on a how shall we say high seas website.
No.
And then I'll pull it up at work, and then it'll be like, "Hi, you're on LAUSD's Wi-Fi. Sorry, website's blocked." And then I gotta like go the normal way, and it's annoying.
Bullshit. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. So like I need to, now that I have it, like a bunch of them, but I need to go and find a way to keep that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. That's fair. Millennials are get blamed for the empire getting murdered by boomers. Xers just annoyed boomers for having new stuff great. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically it.
that seems pretty.
Yeah. The first DVD player was Jesus.
Dude,
I mean,
can't stop. Like, if
technically.
people remember the episode from a couple weeks ago with Casey Mickelson, I read his Jesus Heist screenplay, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
It's
fantastic.
great.
They block websites when I'm in the office too. Can't buy undergarments at work. That's
Well, here's another reason why they did the thing with the phones with the kids.
Yeah.
To get around the school's Wi-Fi on their Chromebooks, they will often do the hotspot with their phone.
Makes sense.
So that's another reason why they
okay.
Yeah, one more addendum that I forgot about.
I mean, like that's the other thing where it's like, okay, like you're there to learn, and the problem is you're also being constantly bombarded and overwhelmed with hormones. So yeah, shitty situation, but at the same time, yeah, at the same time, it's like, yeah, that they got to learn at some point. It's the best time for them to learn new things and experiences, but
yeah. Unfortunately, some of the streaming services are still like accessible on school Wi-Fi. So more than once, I have caught a kid like watching a movie with no sound on their Chromebook while I'm trying to teach.
For real?
Yeah. So like now, the thing that's mostly gotten them to stop is I'll just talk shit about whatever movie they're watching.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, really? You're watching the second Avatar when we're in school with no sound? It's not even a good movie.
Yeah. Like you're just wasting time. You're just wasting your time.
Yeah. Like at least watch a good movie, you know?
See, this is the thing is I always, so, okay, maybe I'm weird about this. I'm like, if I'm good enough to listen to, you'll ignore your phone, you'll ignore the movie, you'll listen to me. Right. So it's like, do I get it? Yes. At the same time, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I don't know. It's a weird thing for me where I'm like, if you want to be on your phone, that's fine, but you're going to lose out. And I would have that conversation with anybody who was like that, where I'm like, you know, that like I'm here for your benefit, right? Like your parents pay taxes, those taxes pay for this school, for my salary and all that stuff for you. So we're in this for your success. So why don't you want to be successful? What is it that's causing that issue, right?
There's a big thing about like taking charge of your own education, right? Advocate for yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
Fine. But you know, I remember being that age and being like, school's fucking dumb. Like now,
sure,
in hindsight, not so much, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember taking Latin in middle school and being like, why am I taking this? It's a dead language. And like I'm able to figure out a lot of words and what they mean just from taking Latin. And it also helped a lot with taking French in college.
Yeah.
So there's a huge gap between high school and university. Yes, it is definitely a different skill set. Like kids who suck at high school, do better in college or vice versa, or maybe not. Like there are people who can adapt, some that don't, but it is definitely a horse of a different color.
Yeah.
Yeah, painfully find out when they hit university. I tell my seniors this before they leave. I'm like, listen, this is not going to be the same thing when you get there. You are in charge of your own destiny for the most part, which is also kind of why I treat the seniors a little bit like college students, where I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I'm here if you need me. Because when I try and like lecture and do it the normal way, they're just like, ew, you're stupid. We're 18. We hate you. Like, so... fine, it's your responsibility then. Okay, all knowledge has ever
a
passionate hatred for government. Cole, you're not completely off. Like the government as it is now, and like, yeah. Also, now is a great time to be angry at the government. So,
I think now is a great time to be like there's never a bad time to not be angry with the government. The government is the worst. And remember too, we had paved roads and highways and all, well, we didn't have highways, but we had paved roads and sewer systems and all that kind of stuff well before income tax was ever involved in anything, right?
Yes.
There are other means of taxation, and the fact is that it's all a sham.
Well, it should also be like tax the like rich people.
Well, yeah. Why are you
Should be-
nickeling? You're nickeling diming me when the
Yeah.
fact is that you should be hitting up, corporations and stuff like that, and taking them to town,
Yeah.
right?
Or
That's-
more Luigi's are gonna come.
Well, it's not even. Well, yeah, but also too, like, listen, like that whole idea where, oh, if you make $1 million, good, every penny after that gets donated, and there's a hierarchy. So it's like the more money you make, the more things you donate to. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, because if you make $1 million in a year, congratulations, you won capitalism. That's good. Yeah. Anything in excess, yeah, that just gets dumped into other things and
Yep.
as
Roads and
contributions.
schools and trains
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
research and
And that should,
Yeah.
and there's like, well, listen, you made a company a person. Well, as the more money that company holds on to, the more it's going to be taxed. That's that simple. Either
Yeah.
it spends the money or it loses the money. Those are your options. Either it spends it on staff, on stuff, and whatever, on upgrading. Otherwise, sorry, it's all going to charitable contributions. You're buying a new highway. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your service.
What's something your generation view, or like what's a viewpoint that your generation holds that you wish it would let go of?
My generation so I was thinking about this with Victoria, and we were both very confused about it, just so you understand.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's not that we don't understand, but it's like, wait, no, I think it's the other way around, that I feel like there's more things that we should bring back as opposed to things we should get rid of.
Okay.
Because like from my perspective, as someone who had a very maybe protected or I had a very good moral compass in my youth, that I didn't do drugs. I didn't do I did some drugs, but not a lot of drugs.
I did some drugs. It's fine.
Yeah, I did nothing. Yeah, I smoked some weed. Ooh. I smoked more weed in the last 2 days than I did throughout my entire high school career. So let's calm down. We get on to you weren't kidnapped. Hey, I don't know how this came up yesterday, but it's like, how has everyone on screen been kidnapped? But I'm like, I've never. I do look like I've kidnapped.
I left yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, it was wild, but it may have been happening while you were still there. I'm not sure, but
maybe it was too many voices talking at once. I was like, I had to go.
Oh no, 100%.
Yeah.
The idea, like I've taken mushrooms while I've been on mushrooms while doing a podcast, and that was a lot. And I was like, like, yeah.
It started off okay. I just like, once the fourth guy came in, I was like, too many things. Cole's trying to like actually do the show, and we're talking shit over him, and like,
yeah. Which is ever so fun. Come on, that's But no, I'm more. I think people are too free right now. That's my honest opinion. Is like, no, there's like the overcorrection of people not having sex. You see as a bad thing, where I'm like, no, they're learning how valuable it is to share that with someone special.
Mhm.
I think it's important, right? But like, it's an overcorrection. I do agree with you there, but at the same time, like, there's a lot to be learned about.
I'm not saying like the solution is everyone should have orgies in the streets or something, but just, I don't know, learn to.
Sir, you're in LA. That's exactly what we assume you're talking about. You're like, everybody should just be right down the street, just look at my genitals. Like,
there's that Patton Oswalt bit where he interrupts an orgy by accident, and it happened in LA too.
I mean, that makes complete sense, right? Like, it's
just
yeah.
I don't know, things we should bring back. I mean, I would love to be loyal to a specific job and just not have to worry about, okay, how's my resume doing every few years? But
yep,
them's the breaks.
Absolutely. Like that idea of being able to be loyal to a company and then they don't do you dirty in any way, shape, or form. Like that idea of like, I hate to put it this way, but it seems like a moral responsibility being a status quo. Like I appreciate the idea that people are more welcoming and understanding that everyone's unique. I love it. That's fantastic. The idea that we are now focusing on the importance of mental health as well as our physical health. I love those things. Those are great things. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, being able to, being in a situation where you can trust that your company's not going to try and do you dirty left, right, and center. That is so valuable.
Yeah. There's a lot of the concept of like the public sector and unions really dropped off in the 80s.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see both more like union membership. Like every couple of weeks, you see a thing like, all right, this huge company just got its first unionized workplace. That's great. And then also, like, a lot of the kids that I have as students, and also me and my friends, all kind of ended up in the public sector because that's where it's safest from like a workplace standpoint. Like you're not going to be randomly laid off because the CEO was like, I used our funds to get a huge pile of coke because I'm a startup or whatever the thing is, right? And so like belief in the public sector and in unions and in collective action is coming back, and I'm a huge fan of that.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that we are dragging that out of the depths from the cold hard ground that the boomers tried to bury it in.
Like, and that's one of those things where you're like, yeah, it's about time. Like it's that's clearly the elimination of unions was clearly not the reason. It was not the solution. We definitely need those. Those are important. Bring them back.
Yeah, because it was always like, I have to pay dues, and I don't know what they do because I don't pay attention. And it's like, maybe don't like.
Yeah, right. And you're just like,
find out why a thing is there before you go like, let's get rid of it.
Yeah,
we live in a world where self gratification is more important than other things. I agree.
Very true. Yeah. Let's hold on. Hence, the younger people quit quicker than they used to, buy products they can't afford, and live beyond their means. That's also true. I'm just so torn on unions. The idea of them is awesome, but they literally just end up wanting to make money. See that, and that's the problem is like, without accountability, like, and this is where I explained this to a few times on this show, and I like, it's that idea of government, unions, and organized crime are the three controlling bodies of a civilized society. Like it basically is how it works, because the fact is that unions get too powerful, so the organized crime gets involved and starts taking their money. But the government is trying to control the mafia. So like it's a rock paper scissors game. That's perfect.
That's what I was thinking. Like, but the like with the whole thing with like unions were like, okay, so some unions are shitty. The police union, for example. Just because you have one thing that's shitty, that doesn't mean it should weaken the public good that is the concept of unions.
Yeah.
For example, like welfare, right? Welfare helps people who are, down on their luck or don't have a support system or whatever, right?
Well,
and then you have the concept of like, oh, welfare queens, there's some unscrupulous people who are taking advantage of the system. That doesn't mean that like the concept of welfare needs to go away.
No, there just needs to be more checks and balances to make sure that doesn't happen. So
I'll give you another one. This last Friday, my school and a bunch of other schools in the area staged a walkout. In protest of ICE and of Trump's policies and everything.
Sure. So that is their American right.
Yeah. So they staged the walkout. They go to the gate that's normally shut during the school day, and there were enough kids where they had to open the gate and let the kids out because they didn't want someone to get trampled.
Yep.
And I was there with the vice principal because like my class was like, okay, we're doing it. And I'm like, okay, instead of doing class today, make your protest signs. And they're The vice principal was like, I know some kids are doing this just to get out of school. I'm like, that shouldn't change the fact that there are people who are trying to like stand up for their rights and fight for their rights, and for the like, 5 or 6 kids who are just using this to get a day off school, that shouldn't weaken the message in the first place.
Okay, that's fine.
No one's getting rich off welfare. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they might.
I don't think so. Like, we still have the like raging with the welfare queen shit in our brainstem, I think.
Yeah. But that's the thing is there should be more. You know what? More people who are on welfare should be hired by the welfare office to catch people who are abusing welfare. That's
sure. Why
that's
not?
my honest opinion. Because that actually makes sense.
Yeah. Or like, if you have corruption in a system, fix the corruption. Don't like burn it all down immediately, right?
Yeah.
There are some things that need to be burned down, but not everything.
Look, but that's the whole idea, is that if you get rid of it, you have to have something that'll replace it, right? And if it's something you don't want to replace, then that's fine. Get rid of it. So be it. But like, at the same time, there are, like we said, checks and balances, right? And like, there are too many things clearly of what's been happening. There are clearly exceptions to every rule, and that's fine. And that's why, like, look, the idea of people who are upstanding citizens who are here illegally getting funneled in with criminals, I don't agree with.
Agree.
But at the same time, what the fuck have you been waiting for? There's a process. Go follow the process. Like there are grounds for that. And you look, and you know what? I'll be honest with you, is if you had a kid, and then you're like, I need citizenship. So they start going through the process, and they go, oh, well, I had a kid here and now I'm working. Okay. I would be like, that's worth approving. Someone stuck around and provided for the family. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Approved. Right. Like, so it's like, I don't understand where anyone's having this weird idea where it's like, hey man, should families be separated? No. Guess what? Does it happen still? Yes.
Yeah.
Does it suck? Yeah.
And then also, like,
there's blame for everyone in this scenario.
Yeah.
It's not a simple thing, but that's the thing is it worth protesting? Yeah. And there should be more involvement. I agree. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that some people ain't getting kicked out. Also true, right?
Yeah, that's fascism. That's, some people are going to suffer.
I'd deport half of California, Atlas included. I'd send him back to wherever he came from.
But never mind. Okay, so I was going to be like, Canada opened asylum is open to asylum seekers.
Yeah, not really. That's changing right now. You know what? So think about it this way: is that Canada is a wildly multicultural country.
Yes.
And has now been overrun by one culture specifically, to the point where its involvement in schools and stuff like that, where you're like, no, that's crazy. We removed religion from school. We're not having it. We're not replacing it with something else. No, it has to stay separate. Oh, but it does my culture. Good. That's your problem. Look, I had to go to Greek school after school. I couldn't include that as part of my schooling. That's not how that works.
Right.
So there's a lot that's happening right now, and you're like, yeah, there are a lot of people that are being deported because there are people who came here on student visa and never showed up for school. You're like, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's how most illegal immigration happens. You overstay a visa.
Yeah.
It's like, a lot of people think it's like, oh, they just hopped the fence. No, like, they came here on purpose. Like, that's a civil crime, not a criminal one.
Yeah.
Or like a civil charge. It's the equivalent of like an expired driver's license. Like, you go to court, handle it, and that's it. It shouldn't be like get thrown in jail or get put in a concentration camp. Replace religion with these. God damn it, Cole.
He's not wrong. That's fine. One of those things.
The holy duo.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the whole thing is like having these checks and balances. That's that idea of church and state should not be connected. Absolutely. Yet it clearly is, and you're like, okay, that we have to stop that. Mm-hmm. That's like those are reasonable things that I don't know. Yeah. It's becoming
one nation indivisible.
I mean, well, I feel like there's a lot of
Mission
people right
you're
now
done.
whose prerogative is just to create barriers as opposed to solve problems, and that's also an issue. So
Yeah.
tough. Anyways, I think this was an interesting conversation. I'm not sure
I
I
think so
enjoyed
too.
it. I'm not sure I enjoyed it though. You know what I mean?
It was
It is an interesting
Well,
conversation, but it's one of those. It's an awkward conversation.
I know.
But it's good. It was a good conversation. I'll give you that. But you got to give me like 6 months before we start talking about this kind of this level of heavy duty stuff. That's fair.
Yeah,
right?
we'll be back to the funnier Generation Dan next week when we have a guest and
Yeah.
like something that I didn't make up while I was on a certain fun guy.
Yeah. There you go.
So,
Ta-da! But it is a fair question. We are going to be going live at 2:30 with Hammered and Cheese, so come check that out, everybody, if you want. We are continuing today. Yeah, because he started a brisket on yesterday's show.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
and it's been in the oven since. So
that's gonna
yeah.
I might just get in the comment section and like
by all means. So we're doing that. Then we're gonna break for I have a baby shower to go to, which is super awesome. And
I have not heard more disdain in someone's voice.
Yeah. And I even messaged him today. I'm like, hey, he messaged me, the guy whose kid it is. He goes, we're bumping it up from 5 to 4:45, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, you should be happy that I'm even coming. I go, I might come on because he's notoriously late. I might come on your time, and he's like, oh, so you're gonna come at like 6-7 o'clock? I'm like, probably. I'll come late. But also too, Victoria bought like the most banging gifts. She got him a Nike onesie that has his name on it, has the kid's name on it. And then also got him his first pair of Jordans. And I'm like, bro, like you can't, you can't one up that. Nobody is that wicked. And they also match colors. So I'm like, he'll be in a basketball onesie, but then also wearing Jordans. You're like, I mean, it comes in like a fancy box and everything. Victoria's like, baby Jordans. Yeah. It's
baby Jordans.
So Cole says if you want to come on, feel free.
Feel free. I might probably not because my dad's coming over for the Super Bowl.
Woo!
But I don't know if he's gonna.
Well, we're going at 2:30.
2:30 your time.
Yeah. So like in half an hour again.
Oh, okay. So then I might be able to do that. Then I thought it was like.
And then we're probably gonna finish at like 3:34. Like we're gonna do a little bit, and then we'll reconvene after the Super Bowl. Which I'm assuming Cole is just gonna be like a brisket covering like half of his body and like a white shirt with just all stains. Yeah. Jack got his first pair of Jordans this year. I found them on nice, bro.
You just hear bad guy thumping in the background. Boom, boom, dun, dun. He's just covered in brisket.
100%.
All right. So thanks everybody for listening to Generation Dan. Check us out at Generation Dan on TikTok and Blue Sky and Instagram and all that other good stuff. Like, share, subscribe to the show. That's a lot of S sounds in a row. Follow me at Atlas Novak and all the places you get that social media, including TikTok, Blue Sky, and Instagram. My TikTok is sketches about being a teacher, but not always. And my other podcast, Nexus at Night, which is about a trading card game. If that's not your bag, I completely understand, and fuck you. Go ahead, Dino.
I am Dino the Genetic Marvel, part-time comedian, part-time wizard, all-time fantastic. We are, you know what? I am planking these days. I'm doing over a minute and 10 seconds every day. I hate it, but you can watch me. And then I also I take a video of my butt getting air dried every morning, and that's basically
it's not of his actual butt. It's like his face wall is.
It may listen. If I keep on losing weight, if I get ripped, it will be my butthole. Like it'll be 100%. I'll have a camera installed. It'll be great. It'll be fine. Anyways, everyone, have a wonderful day. We'll be back for the Super Bowl. We're prepping a bit. Well, we're seeing the result of the brisket that started a little bit in Trump. Jesus Christ. Anyways, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we will see you in a little bit. Later.
Bye.